Ladies and gentlemen, five-star Alexa Wolverhampton will represent 5 quickly rounds for the amateur flyweight championship. Sponsored by Casino 36 Wolverhampton. And the report of the record says, bring the beats. Straight in the 57 kilograms, representing SPG Manchester. He is the challenger, Abdul Choudhury. And his opponent fights in the junior of the record flyweights at 4 defeats. Winning in the 57 kilograms, representing CP's martial arts, from Warsaw. He is the reigning, defending, golden ticket amateur flyweight champion, Choudhury.
Well, Brad, I'm excited for this flyweight amateur title match. Champion George Tolley, 4-0, 2-0 here at GTFP. He's finished all of his GTFP wins. He's taking on Abdul Choudhury, the 6-3 prospect out of SPG Manchester. 5 3-minute rounds, Brad. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, championship fight, first of the evening. We've got professional titles on the line shortly, but we remain with the amateurs for now, and what an amateur contest this is.
Absolutely. The flyweight division in the UK amateur ranks is as deep and as full of talent as any division anywhere in the world.
Yeah, we talk about the differences between amateur and pro, and here really it's just the name of the rule set. You know, these guys could handle any number of professional mixed martial artists on the circuit today. We're talking high-level stuff here.
And we've got two of the highest level in the cage in front of us. And Tolley looks to have a bit of reach and size on Choudhury, and wonder if he's going to make that pay during this fight.
Yeah, he's definitely the longer fighter. He's got the luxury, if he wants to play the striking game, of being able to stand just outside the pocket and force Choudhury to come to him. Of course, if he does end up on his back, he's got those long limbs, tailor-made for arm bars and triangle chokes, but also tailor-made for latching onto as well.
So, working behind that stiff jab, Tolley all the time at the moment, controlling the center of the cage.
Of course, we're competing over 5 3-minute rounds here as the amateur titles on the line, so these guys have got that luxury of a bit more time than they used to, so expect perhaps a slower start to the contest as they look to find their range and set their stall out for the later rounds.
Well, just a moment ago, a nice stuffed takedown from Tolley, and followed it up with a right hand that landed, and Choudhury showed him his chin and said, try again. What's the game plan for Choudhury? Is it to work on the inside, get the clinch, and take this to the floor?
Well, you've got to think so, you know, unless he's exceptionally confident with his boxing skills. We've not seen much in the way of low kicks so far. Unless he's exceptionally confident with his boxing skills, he's got to close that gap and get a grip of his man. He's finding a taller, longer, rangier fighter who's obviously very comfortable on the feet. At some point, he's going to have to throw those shots, cause a distraction, and snap for the takedown, and there it is.
Again, that jab from Tolley is telling. Every time it lands, you can see Choudhury fighting the sting. Really good work.
You know, sometimes I even think I know what I'm talking about, Steve.
Yeah. But you know, watch when Tolley lands that, especially that jab, when he throws it with the right and lands clean, you can see the eyes watering. I mean, he really put some stank on that, right into the nose again.
Absolutely. You know, if you can straighten that arm out and get some pop on it, and more importantly, if you can catch the guy coming in, that's a damaging strike.
Wow, and that 3 minutes flew by.
Yeah, Choudhury has got to be careful of that high kick on the right-hand side. We've seen that a few times from George Tolley. And, you know, we've talked about it a lot in this contest already. He's got the luxury of being able to throw it from outside the pocket. Choudhury has to come to him, and it just gives George Tolley that little bit more time and range to play with. Very interesting first round. You know, we thought we might see a slightly slower pace first 3 minutes. Expect the tempo to turn up here in the second round.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we see Elliot Powell there in the corner, double duty tonight. Fought here, a valiant effort earlier on against absolute wrecking ball that was Joe Taylor. Of course, Coach Matt Inman there has for some time been taking on head coach duties at SBG Manchester. Always a good voice and presence to have in the corner.
Yeah, a guy who's been there, seen it all, done it all about in the sport. A veteran at a tender age is Matt Inman. We touch gloves and this championship fight continues. Tolley, constant movement.
Choudhury trying to fake his man out. Yeah, we see a bit of a marked up face on Abdul Choudhury already early on. He did take a few clean shots in that first round.
Tolley doesn't look like, it looks like he's come out and it's the first round still. Bouncing, fresh, confident.
Well, if you're going to play that counter-striking game, if you're going to stand outside the pocket and wait for your man to come to you, your output doesn't have to be as great. You don't have to throw all those shots.
Again, that straight. It's the straight that's making the difference in this one at the moment. Chopping the leg now.
Yeah, Choudhury needs to find a way around it. He can't go straight into it. He's got to use his angles and movement. He's got to come over the top of the jab with the right hand. He's got to change levels quickly, or he's got to throw a barrage of strikes to, if anything, blur the vision of George Tolley. Just keep those hands in his face so he can't see where the third and fourth one's coming from, or maybe it's a level change to the takedown.
It just seems that right now, there was a two-punch comment. Just right now, Abdul just seems to be throwing kind of one shot at a time, and it's not giving him any rhythm or distance to be able to close that gap.
Oh, yeah, maybe this is just a case of finding his range. And once he gets comfortable with that, once he knows how far he has to move in to be able to hit this guy, maybe we're going to see Choudhury really let loose with those hands. We've seen him throw a few feints and fakes here early on.
I like Tolley's patience here.
Choudhury looking very confident, he's shaking his head when these shots land, saying it's not hurting me.
But they're landing.
They're landing, they're scoring points.
Yeah, at some point it's all right to have a good chin, but you just don't want to keep evidencing it to people.
Yeah, we talk about the striking part of the judging criteria, and we're looking for impactful strikes. It's not always something you associate with a jab, but when you're as big as a guy like George Tolley and you're catching someone on the counter moving in, a jab can be just as an impactful a strike as a straight right hand. It's snapping the head back, it's marking him up. Yeah, these are all scoring shots.
Just chipping away like a little bit at a time at that, the rock that is Choudhury, but Choudhury becoming a little more flamboyant, or is that desperate with those shots?
Yeah, it could be either or. He's perhaps finding his rhythm a little bit more, and it's Tolley with the first takedown. Yeah. That was unexpected. And that could be
working for something here, but time is going to be against him, and Tolley doesn't look too concerned. Just waited that time out.
Yeah, whether that was by accident or design, I don't know, but that could have been a very prudent move on behalf of George Tolley there. Knowing there was only a few seconds left in the round, all of a sudden he's given Abdul Choudhury a completely different puzzle to solve going into the third round. He's been dealing with essentially straight punches, jabs, and the straight right coming in as counter strikes. Now he's got to watch out for that power double too.
2 rounds in the books now, and got a pretty even fight here at the moment.
Yes, it's very much looking like it could go either way still. Personally, I'm leaning Tolley at the moment purely on the fact that he has landed the cleanest strikes and he has caught Choudhury on the counter. Didn't have much time to do anything with that takedown at the end, but I think it was perhaps more of a message being sent than anything else.
I think you've pointed it out. Tolley is using a more well-rounded game at the moment. He's showing different things, and right there, Abdul Choudhury's got to figure this puzzle out.
Both guys looking very fit and fresh, though. Third round of 5, if they need them, in the Golden Ticket Amateur Flyweight Division. Title on the line. The champion, George Tolley. The challenger, Abdul Choudhury. Choudhury with the takedown. He's got to be careful of that neck, though, Steve.
Yeah,
Arm in guillotine. Choudhury pops out.
Trying to work the body now at Tolley with that body lock, and now takes his back.
Good work by Choudhury there, scrambling to get his back on the fence.
Nice. Went for the single leg, immediate released it.
Yeah, good cagemanship from Abdul Choudhury there. You know, he realized the mistake. He immediately went to put his back on the cage. And all of a sudden, that body lock no longer an issue. And they're back on even territory here in the center of the cage. Packed house tonight at Starworks Warehouse for GTFP 8.
Always busy here when GTFP are in town.
I was talking to the promoters earlier on this evening. It's actually the biggest crowd they've had so far for Golden Ticket Fight Promotion, so a real landmark event for the company. And you've got to believe that a lot of that's to do with the man headlining the card tonight, Tim Wilde.
Absolutely. Local MMA legend, Tim Wilde, man. Fought almost everywhere.
I'm told that half of the entire VIP section is just Tim Wilde fans, and there's more in general admission as well. So I expect it to be very loud for our main event of the evening.
Phenomenal. Yeah. A steady pace being set here by both fighters. Neither of them wanting to make that critical mistake.
Tolley switching stance a couple of times there. Really keeping Choudhury guessing. I'd like to see the right uppercut from George Tolley on the way in. Jab, jab, right uppercut.
Just occasionally when he's moving backwards, it does sometimes seem his footwork going backwards isn't as fluid as going forwards. Abdul might be able to take advantage of that. Keep putting them on the back foot. Easier said than done.
Well, you should never move back in a striking exchange. Never move straight back. Always circle out. Always come off at an angle. The last thing you want to get caught with is a shot when you're moving backwards that takes you off balance. All of a sudden, you're on the seat of your pants, so, you know, through no real good reason.
Again, the urgency may be starting to pick up a little bit from Abdul. He's pushing forward a little more often. George happy to...
Now, I get the feeling this is going to be another fight which is going to be very difficult for our judges to pick apart unless we see some real landmark moments in the fourth and fifth round.
Again, you can see the damage that just chipping away with that jab's doing right under the right eye of Abdul Choudhury.
Yeah, it looks a lot worse than it is in terms of the cut, but yeah, what we're seeing there is a clear indication that damaging strikes have been landed. Yeah, we've seen George Tolley very comfortable, standing just outside the pocket, flicking those jabs and straights out. And you know, they're finding a home. It's on Abdul Choudhury here to find a way around that jab and get inside. You know, perhaps hasn't shown that he's interested in going for the takedown. We saw one from him early in the third round, but you know, he seems like he's happy to bang it out here. Perhaps he's waiting for the championship rounds to see if George Tolley's got the gas tank to match his. We'll find out, and we're about to find out who's worthy of taking the championship home. It's third round's done, championship round's coming up. It's a whole different game plan when you enter the fourth and fifth.
6 minutes left. You've got to think though that Neil Simpkin there in the corner of Tolley's telling him, just keep doing this. Another 6 minutes of doing this. You haven't taken a shot. You're controlling.
Touch of gloves, and we are underway.
Got a very movement-heavy style, this Tolley, doesn't he?
Absolutely, and we saw again that the straight left hand landed from Tolley. Choudhury tried to counter and fell a few inches too short. And Tolley's absolutely mastered fighting at that range.
I like his patience and his discipline as well. He doesn't rush. He picks his shots. Get another nice right hand landed there. If anybody has to put their foot on the gas, I think it has to be Choudhury over the next 2 rounds. He can't be backing up. He's got to be setting the pace for this fight now.
He's landing, but he's not landing enough. And you know, it's okay that the shot doesn't hurt you, and you can, you know, gesture and gesticulate like that. But Unfortunately, that's not what the judges are looking at. They're seeing the strikes land.
You think he's trying to kind of lure him into a bit of a war, make it ugly, get in close and start smashing up?
100%. What he needs to do is make George Tolley lose that discipline to throw the straight shots. He needs a crazy big wide hook to come in, or a head kick that's not been timed properly so he can catch his man off balance. Whether that's with strikes, whether he's going to try and clinch up and effect a takedown, that remains to be seen.
I mean, Tolley's movement there, again, just dances out at the low kick range.
Well, this is the thing, Steve. As of now, he's not been able to bait that kind of mistake out of George Tolley. So the question becomes, when do you switch things up?
Yeah.
He's already had more time than he would in any other contest. We're halfway through the first championship round now. When does Choudhury start letting loose of that overhand right? When does he start driving in with a blast double?
Well, every second that ticks by is a second less that he's got. I suppose he's worried about the counter, though, the big shot from Tolley, who's not giving anything away here.
Phenomenal pace being kept up by these guys, and we say that all the time about the flyweight, Steve. They really are able to just go and go and go.
Yeah, cardio for days and days.
And again, we see that piercing left hand stopping Choudhury in his tracks.
Yeah, just a little, I say little, it's got some sting on it, but
good hips from Choudhury, looking for the judo throw there.
Tolley staying stuck to him like glue and now pushing heavy up against the cage.
Yeah, great balance there from George Tolley to not only avoid getting thrown, but to put his man back on the cage and finish strong. We've got a good solid grappling exchange there. Again, you've got to hand it to Tolley.
And his time management at the end of rounds has been phenomenal. Just before or just after that warning, he's looking at a takedown or a strong position against the cage. Great time management.
We're seeing the Cutsman go to work there on Abdul Choudhury. His lips swollen, he's bleeding from the nose and from that little nick under his eye, which looks a lot worse than it is, to be fair to him. But again, it's an indication that damaging shots are landing.
Yeah, Tolley still looks as fresh as a daisy, just like he did as he was stepping out for the first round. Not breathing heavy. I mean, it's another teenage prospect that, in UK MMA in the flyweight division, so deep.
Yeah, we often speculate, Steve, between rounds on what corners might be telling their charges before they send them out again. We don't need to speculate here. We know that George Tolley is being told, more of the same, please. 3 more minutes just like that, and you've defended your title.
Yeah, in an impressive fashion against a dangerous opponent. I got to say, Tolley is looking a real prospect right now. And we start with Tolley trying to just establish that distance again. Abdul just has not been able to find an answer to that puzzle.
It's a difficult one to solve. It's not necessarily that one fighter is better than the other. It's a physical advantage that you have to get past as well as the technique. Ooh. Nice knee there from George Tolley. That could have ended very differently.
Now looking for the guillotine, looking to control the head and neck.
But Choudhury's taking the initiative here, and that's what we need to see.
Yeah.
We may have needed to see it 1 round earlier.
And that's straight to keep Abdul Choudhury honest.
At this point, Choudhury could well be down 4 rounds already, so it's
nothing
now or never.
You can hear Simpkin in the corner yelling at Tolley. 2 minutes left. Where's that cardio?
Yeah, and that's what's winning in the fight. It's not just the fact that he's able to use his boxing and his physical tools so well. He's got the gas tank to do it, and it's that measured output that allows him to do that. If he'd been swinging from the fences to round 1, things would be getting sloppy. He'd be leaving openings. He's not done that. He's been mature. He's been measured, and for me, that's what's going to win him, or rather allow him to retain the title more than anything else.
He's still dry. He's been fighting for 15 minutes, and there's not a bead of sweat in his face. cardio is definitely not going to be an issue for this young man.
It's terrible. I don't even know a man called Jim, so it's terrifying prospects coming out these days.
Yeah, it's great news for MMA in the UK. Again, controlling the distance. Abdul Choudhury has to make something happen over this last 60 seconds.
It's a knockout or nothing. He's got to finish George Tolley here. And you hear the corner of Tolley asking for that two-piece. Beautiful hips there on Tolley. Choudhury driving in though, looking for that single leg.
Well defended by Tolley, and a bit of desperation there perhaps.
Well, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures, Steve, and that's exactly what we saw.
Got to be down to the last 15, 20 seconds now, and Tolley still working Choudhury up against the cage, pushing hard. 10-second warning now. Completes the takedown.
3 rounds in a row, Steve. We've seen that late takedown.
Absolutely, and I think it's safe to say that George Tolley has defended again.
Yeah, George Tolley's in the business of sending messages. We saw him send one to the judges with those brilliantly timed takedowns.
Perfect.
He sent a message to the entire UK amateur flyweight division with another great victory here at Golden Ticket tonight.
Yeah, perhaps a name that isn't mentioned enough in the division is George Tolley now. 5-0, impressive.
You know, if it wasn't mentioned before tonight, it very well might be afterwards. Certainly not a young man to be questioned after performances like this at such a young age against a very high-level, experienced competition.
Absolutely.
This was the 10th amateur contest for Abdul Choudhury. The guy's no novice.
No, twice as many fights almost, but Tolley,
you know, we're seeing in the replay here exactly how he fared. These measured shots, a measured game plan, incredible fitness. It's going to cause serious problems for anyone out there at 125 pounds. An amateur, or should he decide to turn pro? We've got the scorecards in. We're going to throw it to our MC, Ricky Wright, to make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, the final rounds of action and the first of the scorecards.
I'll let you do this one.
50, 45, and 50, 45. All three of your winner by unanimous decision. And still, Golden Tickets and the flyweight champion, George Tolley. And lecture from very worthy challenger, Abdul Choudhury.
Well, no surprises on the scorecard. The winner and still the champion, George Tolley,